Hello, everybody. Welcome to Small Press Expo 2001 and then a 2.
Whoa.
I'm Joe. That's Rusty.
Yeah.
And down in the end here, we have a very special guest named
Evan Keeling.
Oh, that is
Evan.
special.
Wow, you made
Like
that kid scream, Evan.
Yes.
That's
I
exciting.
make kids scream a lot.
Kids scream at the sound of Evan Keeling.
My voice, something about it
It's your
makes
overall
kids
presence.
angry.
Your,
My daughter yells at me
your
all
rage.
the time. Yes,
Some kind of primal reaction.
it is. It is.
It's implanted in their tiny dinosaur brain.
I think it's like
Yes.
once you breed, children understand your voice is the voice of anger.
Really, no
You are
matter
angry
what.
authority.
No matter what. Oh wait, I remember. That is one of the parenting
Oh,
voices.
yeah, that's a parenting voice. You can't get out of it. You're
No.
just like, oh.
You're stuck.
That's how you speak.
I find like other people's kids. I'm just like, yeah, come on. I'm just like, that's not my child. I shouldn't be talking to them that way.
What are you doing? Luring them away?
No,
Building
no.
your clan?
No, that's not.
Building a child army.
Oh man. Yes, I want to build the child army.
This
I'm
is
like,
exciting.
I'm really like that's why I'm at SPX, because I'm going to build one of those like African style child armies
Yeah.
where I make them
Yes.
shoot their parents,
Right.
And then they draw comics for me.
Right. It's like
He's going to be the
look,
Coney of SPX.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic.
Evan Coney Keeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Coney.
I will set it all up, and then I will take over SPX.
What I can't wait is to use this footage in a documentary against you.
Oh yes,
Yes.
He warned us all. We wouldn't listen.
Going to go viral.
you wouldn't.
Oh, no, I won't. This is all for laughs and giggles. So you're here at SPX, not just
Yes.
to attract kids to your army,
No.
but also to sell comics.
Yes, that is the theory.
Now, what
That's
is
the
it
front.
that you're?
Yeah.
What are you repping here at SPX?
I don't have a lot new this year. I spent most of my year coloring Shock, the Great White Shark book by Matt Dembski that came out from Oni Press, and that's what I spent most of my year. So I haven't been able to produce much.
Now, that's a pretty book,
It is.
No,
That's something to be proud of.
I'm very proud of it. It's a very pretty book.
and you should be.
I am.
You did amazing work in it.
Oh, thank you.
It's like someone
is a
communed
trauma.
with the coloring gods
Oh yeah.
and then just touched the paper. And it was you.
Yeah,
In this case, it was you.
He's like the Coney of colors,
What?
yeah.
Oh, the Coney of colors.
Oh, yeah, the
I like
Coney
how
of colors.
Coney's making a comeback.
Yes. You guys should sit down with Matt. You should sit down with Matt and talk to him about the deadline he gave me.
Really, no,
we
we
can talk some
sat
more.
down with him, but he refused to talk about your participation.
The first thing we asked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, not really. But
I don't know who that is.
no, he said you did a wonderful job,
Yes.
and he really enjoyed working with you for the most part. It was something like that. I don't remember.
I've known him for a long time. This is the first project we've ever worked on that has actually come to fruition.
Really, everything else is just talking.
Oh, no. I mean, it's come to partial fruition.
Right.
I mean, all the DC conspiracy projects eventually end up coming to fruition.
Yes.
so that's your basically that's what you got now. You got
What is it? That's what I've got for this show. I mean, I've got some of my old stuff. I've got I did a color, it's some stuff that I had last year that some people might not have seen. Like I have the Fifanella. I did a 4-page little Fifanella broadsheet, which is the strip that I do for the Magic Bullet. That's the first 3 strips I did. I have run out of promo cards, but the project that I am kind of promoting at this show, but I've run out, was I'm starting interviewing and gathering stuff to do a comic, like a series of comics and graphic novels about the DC punk scene in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
wow.
And so I've started contacting band members and stuff like that, like starting with people that I knew and then the people that they knew, and then slowly moving out from there, trying to contact to get a sort of full spectrum of what, like all the bands that were producing that at the time, which is actually very daunting because there are a lot of bands
Yes.
in the 90s in DC, a lot of bands and a lot of people who were in multiple bands and multiple projects all at the same time, and it's
What attracted you to this project?
well, I grew up in DC. I've lived in DC my whole life, and that was the time period when I was in college. Like I started college, I started high school. I started high school in the 90s, I might have been 1990 that I started high school. But that was when I discovered, I didn't know, I listened to the music my parents listened to, and I was obsessed with Living Colour, and that was about the extent of the music that I listened to. And then I got into high school, and a friend introduced me to the punk music that was coming out DC, and it was kind of like I jumped from listening to whatever my parents played in the car.
Right, you're a very passive listener.
To listening to actively being involved in stuff. And I would read stuff, and there's a lot of stuff talked about the DC punk scene in the 80s. It's a very, it was a big deal.
There's a lot of good stuff to cover.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and it's a big deal, but a lot of people have talked about it. And I'll like watch like stuff about it or read articles or read books about the DC punk scene, and always when it gets towards the 90s and it starts petering down, like the book starts ending, they're just sort of mentioning these bands that were so important to me because they were the bands that I was watching.
Right.
When I was like, I was hanging out with, I was watching. These are the people that I want to hear
They
about.
were your major influences.
Yeah. And that's like, because I always talk about, like, I always feel like people talk about, like, you watch these documentaries about hardcore or anything like that, and these old men are always sitting in their chairs and they're like, when I was in a band, that's when hardcore meant something.
Sure, it was really hardcore.
But it doesn't mean anything now. These kids don't know what they're talking about. But honestly, like, I feel that, like, the hardcore that I was experiencing is the most important hardcore of the time for me.
Yeah.
And the hardcore that a kid nowadays is experiencing is the most important hardcore that he's experienced.
Well,
because it's such a growth thing. You're experiencing the angry youth music of your age.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's in the context of
it's
when
resonant.
they're
Yeah, it's resonant to you.
Yeah.
And these things only gain like, gravitas and reputation because the people that they influence get older and become the majority voice.
They
you
become
know?
the people that decide on what was cool.
No, it's like I love the Dead Kennedys, but I don't see how a kid, like, I can understand a kid this day and age loving the Dead Kennedys' music and their style, but they're not going to understand the politics. They're like talking about Reagan. Reagan means nothing to a kid nowadays, and that's how I kind of feel about it. This stuff is like those, like, the stuff that was politically important and the things that were like the youth anger of the 80s is not the same youth anger of the 90s.
Nor should it
be. And it's not the youth anger of the 2000s. Or even now into the 2010s or whatever, however.
Specifically 2012.
2012.
Because that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
The youth anger of today is crazy.
Yes.
It's all about
The
ring
youth-
pops, as far as I know. It's like ring pops.
There was somebody did wonder by our table who had a pacifier ring, and they were sucking on it and everything, and I was kind of
There's
thrown
a
off
song
by
about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you can write a comic about it.
I just read, like, the thing I just read recently that freaked me out is I read about otherkin, which are the people that associate themselves, they're starting to try to build like a sort of a base that is like the gay rights movement.
Right.
But because they're saying they are just as oppressed as the gay people, but their thing is that they associate themselves with like video game characters.
Right.
Or trees. Or animals,
or ponies.
Yeah, they think or ponies, or they think they're like, I was born a boy, but I was supposed to be a black woman, or
That's this guy.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
You should hear his stories.
Constantly.
I believe it.
And he's like, where is my representation?
But I just read about that, and I'm just like, this is something that is completely so foreign to me. I have now gotten to an age where like youth movements, I don't grasp all of them, and I don't quite get where you're coming from.
Well, and you really can't. It's not for you.
Yeah.
It's not.
Like, you can only be in that
no
range
matter
for so
how
long.
ridiculous the drama may seem to you, it's not your drama.
No.
And there's some kids that just want to have a ring pop.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that they may have. And then that they will have a time where they can tell their stories about what influences them. They're One Directions, they're Justin Biebers.
Yeah,
all these things. They're going to have these great stories filled with gristle and just blood about their time going to Justin Bieber concerts.
I'm looking forward to the kids who are drawing the Justin Bieber comics in like 20 years.
Right.
And they're writing the comics about when they were a kid.
Yeah, they're like, you won't understand. You can't understand it
Justin Bieber.
nowadays.
This generation doesn't get to Bieber.
You can't deal with Bieber.
No.
Bieber. This is why Bieber was important.
Right.
When I was a kid, Bieber was important because of this, and I'm going to do a comic about it.
Right. We're
going to be at SPX, and I'm going to be pitching my comic about some ancient ass crap, and they're going to be like,
it's going to be about your arthritis or something.
Yeah, it was like, come on, this is the Justin Bieber comic. This is what was
right.
cool. It was like the kids who were like, it's like I'm talking about G.I. Joes, and they're talking about Justin Bieber, and they're just like, what are you talking about,
I
old
thought that
man?
was the same thing.
It is.
I mean, to me, Justin
It
Bieber
is.
is G.I. Joe.
Justin
much.
Bieber is the G.I. Joe for the next generation.
He is so brave.
He is a pop task force.
If we were doing the SATs, it would be like Justin Bieber is to 2012 as G.I. Joe was to 1980.
I believe you said 10,012.
Yeah, 10,012.
10,012.
What year are we
We're
talking
going
about?
back in time.
Are we going to,
I'm gonna
or
build some
crazy.
pyramids.
that's
I'm
going to
gonna
be a
start a
really good
revolution.
SAT test.
It is.
It's going to be like a
My
Justin
SAT
Bieber
test
religion.
would be brilliant.
How-
I did very poorly on the SATs.
Really?
by the way.
Why? Did you read?
I did. I think my verbal was great. My math was terrible. Or it was either one way or the other.
Good thing there wasn't a portion on memory,
Yeah.
because you
My
would.
memory is terrible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's
Did I even
like
take
also
that?
why
I
I'm
don't
working
know.
on this project is like I can email people that I hung out with and ask them about what happened when I
Do
was
you
hanging out
remember
with
this
them.
band?
Remember that
also,
night?
do you
Yeah,
know where I
tell
put
me
my
about it.
keys?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good night, I think.
Back in that days, I remember specifically losing my keys at one point, and then them being found in a completely different place than where I thought I lost my keys.
Could have been a ghost.
Yeah.
It probably was a
And that's
ghost.
the thing about these music comics and stuff. There are people that I've wanted to do comics about in the music industry, but I've read interviews about them, and they're like, I have no memory of that era, and I'm like, I can't
What am I gonna
bother
say in my comic?
Why can't I? This is why I can't contact you to interview you because
sorry.
you're not gonna have any information for me.
It's not going to mean a thing to me.
No,
I can't verify.
yeah, exactly.
And
You
then
definitely
this,
can't verify most of this stuff because it's all like hearsay.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
There
that's
were
like
like 3 people at that show in somebody's basement.
Yeah, exactly.
it's urban legends.
It was
And then
nice
he
to
cut
read
a
this.
man's head off with his guitar. You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
that was a good night.
Yeah, that was a good night. I think we were all having a joint acid flashback.
All tongues touched one acid.
Yeah,
check, you know?
exactly.
That was a good time. Now, how long have you been coming to SPX?
Oh man, a long time.
Really?
I'm trying to think of how long it was. I remember I found out about SPX when I was in high school. So probably at least since '95,
Wow.
maybe.
Now, that might have been the first one.
No, then it definitely wasn't the first one. It was a couple after the first one. I definitely wasn't at the first one, but I was pretty close. Like I started coming to SPX pretty early on. I came for a few years, and then I realized that if I volunteered, I could get into SPX for free.
Sure.
And I was like, what's 2 hours of my time to get in for free? Because that's the kind of person that I am.
Right,
Makes
I know.
sense.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah.
Anything for free.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what they
If
say.
it's free, I'll take it.
Right. That's the guy.
Yeah. But so I started volunteering, and then I guess it was 2004 or 2005. I was volunteering, and I didn't know anybody, but I was like, I'm volunteering, and they've told me I can come to this party. So it was like it was the after
Yeah.
party, and I was like, so I'm gonna go to this party, even though I don't know anybody. I know nobody of any professional status. I know nothing. I'm just gonna go. And so I went down, and it was at the old location, and it's down in that little basement. I'm sitting in that little curved area underneath the stairs on a bench, and I'm reading a book about Edward Gorey. And Carol Dembski, Matt Dembski's wife, sits next to me.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. This is me. It's Joe, not Rusty. That's Rusty.
No, yeah, I'm Rusty.
And that's
for sure.
Evan. And as
I'm
you
Evan.
noticed, the video just stopped.
That got kind of crazy for a
And
second.
so we did a whole beautiful interview. We talked to Evan about his dreams, his demons, the child army, obviously.
I think I spouted my philosophy that it was like world changing.
It
was
not- it
really
was-
gonna like fix every problem that ever existed.
I'll be honest. At one point, you talked for like 12 minutes. And you just had all these ideas about changing the world.
And I kind of went into a zone and like I transcended.
Yeah.
And so it was like
Yeah.
something was speaking through
your
me. and it
your
was
mouth stopped moving, but
And then you just threw up on yourself.
but
But see, and all that stuff's lost. I mean, that was like I can't remember it. I bet you guys can't remember.
but
it.
I was still getting
So,
mental
like,
images
if-
projected.
It
in
was
my
like I
mind.
still understood what that meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if it was videotaped, if we had it like collected,
Right.
like, we really could have like fixed everything. Like,
Right.
everybody.
If only
would've
we had
been, like,
written it down.
Oh,
Or
geez.
recorded it.
Or recorded it
Or
properly.
recorded it.
Damn you,
Oh, man.
Kodak. So the video cut off when you were telling. We can just end this. You can wrap it up. You had met Matt's wife.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And she introduced you to Matt.
Yeah.
And then somehow this led
And
to
then I
the Justice League.
I went and stopped and talked to him the next day at SPX, picked up some of his books, and chatted when we exchanged information, like email, and he was like, I've talked to some people. I'm thinking about trying to do something together with some local creators, but he wasn't quite sure what.
Not a street gang.
Not a street gang. Not directly.
necessarily.
Not the street gang that we have become.
No.
Before we were ready to be
Peace-loving,
yes.
pacifists.
We're gonna help comics, and now we just want to start fights. But
It's what
How's
SPX
that going
needs
for
these
you?
days.
exactly, we should start really rumbling.
Now, so then eventually you guys became DC Conspiracy?
Yeah, he like maybe a month or two later, I got an email from Matt where he was like, "I'm starting this Yahoo group, DC Creators called the DC Conspiracy," and there was about 7 of us maybe at the time, and we just talked a lot and we talked back and forth a bunch, and then we got to the point where we were like talking to each other just about every day. Like there was some sort of communication on the message board or the Yahoo group message thing to each other, and then we were just like, well, we should just meet. We should meet and do something. There was a meetup. Like I can't claim to be at the first meetup because there was a snowstorm and I didn't.
I like to
trek
think
out.
you knew they had to wait to meet you.
Yes,
Yeah.
they had to. I was wanting them
They had
to
to be ready.
prepped.
You need an entrance.
Yeah, they knew. And then we were talking about a place to meet, and I suggested Dr. Dreamo's Tap House because I knew a bartender there, and I figured at least if I somehow don't get along with these people in person, I have somebody that I can go and hang around
Pre-installed
with.
out.
Yeah, exactly. I can kind of like sneak
That's
off.
why I don't do anything with Rusty unless somebody else is around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Escape
Because
hatch.
I don't know what's going to happen here.
You guys need a chaperone.
Oh my God.
Rusty's handsy.
He is handsy. He's all 4 fingers and thumbs.
And people don't seem to understand sometimes. Handy? Like you fix? No.
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 He
Handsy.
fixes nothing. He
Handsy.
breaks
There's a big
breaks
S in there.
everything.
Yeah.
Especially your heart.
Hearts.
Yes.
Hearts. Breaking
That's where I was
hearts.
going with it too.
Yeah.
Ruiner.
Yeah.
I caught that one.
So you guys as a group put out the Magic Bullet and
Yeah.
the newspaper giveaway.
we started. We did a jam called Dr. Dreamo.
Right.
Based off of that, we did a couple of themed anthologies, like hosted by Dr. Dreamo, and then we started doing Magic Bullet, just because really like that newspaper size. It's just such a beautiful, big size. You get this whole.
It just
page
shows
that you
off
can
art.
Yeah,
It's
One of the things I
fantastic.
like
nice.
about the proliferation of the newspaper anthologies is it kind of representative of a given audience or given area, and so
Yeah.
this is cool to have something represent the local cartooning society. You know, the
that's
group.
the Magic Bullet number 5 is all like DC creators and former DC creators, like people who like. I mean, so he got people from all over that have been, used to live in DC, were connected to the comic scene, and then all these people that like live in the city. So it's really representative of like the kind of DC comics scene.
Do you have a website or email address or a phone number that people can contact you through if they want to look at your work? Or
Well, I have a website. It's etkeeling.com, which is ETKEELING.com.
letters are a mystery to me,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
And that's my personal art site.
Sure.
And I have a Tumblr that's connected to that. That's my sometimes updated journal.
Talk about your dreams
Yeah, my dreams. Yeah.
and your nightmares.
My dreams and nightmares.
And
They're
today,
usually the same.
and today, I think it's destiny that something happened
Yeah.
and we lost everything else because we get to talk to you on your birthday now.
Yes, it is my birthday.
It is,
so
you don't
happy
even look
birthday.
21.
Not even close.
No, I'm.
But you
I'm
can drink
excited.
now.
It's a fun birthday because it's one of those birthdays where the first number divides evenly, like is these half of the second number, 36, and you only get a couple of those birthdays. There's 12,
Right.
there's 24,
Yeah.
36, and 48. There's only
And that's it.
Wow.
And that's it. Those are the only birthdays where the numbers.
90-10 does not work.
No.
You can't divide 10 by 9.
Exactly.
I've
That's-
tried. It doesn't
You
work.
tried for like hours.
Yes. Worked my ass off.
It was adorable and sad.
It was.
Well, I want to thank you again. This is the second time I want to thank you for
Yes.
sitting and talking with us.
Multiple things.
No, I'm glad you brought me back, and I'm glad I could present myself as a more dignified person now that I'm not nearly as drunk.
I'm kind of disappointed, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This
We
way
can't-
the viewers get both.
Yeah.
Choose which one you like more. Whatever.
So thanks again,
Yeah.
Yes.
and have a
Thank you very
great
much.
life.
Thank you. You too.
I know you mean
I,
it.
I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and I hope you die.
Oh, everybody does. I don't
Rusty,
care.
not you.
Oh, okay.
All right.